Something like this would be perfect for Easter, or just lovely to bring indoors when, you know, we're really craving the sunshine. And then that is it. A really beautiful way to bring flowers indoors this time of year. So today I'm going to be sharing 3 projects with you to really get your creativity going, all using seasonal spring flowers, all really celebrating nature. So to make your pressed flower eggs, the first thing you need is real eggs. So I went for goose eggs. Now I did this because they have a much bigger surface area. So you can buy these on most kind of independent marketplaces, or you can do them yourself by making a hole. You can see this one's got a hole in the top. You make a hole in the top, you make a hole in the bottom, and then you blow through, and that's how you remove all the contents inside. So the first thing you want to do is you need to have your PVA glue. I've just got some here, and it takes quite a lot of glue, this project, so I would be quite generous with your dollop. So then you want to get a paintbrush, and quite a large one, because again, it's quite a large surface area. You get your PVA and you place it on your brush, take off any excess, and then what you want to do is have a nice thick layer on top of the egg. Now this will all dry clear, so don't worry about how much you're putting on, or if it doesn't look that neat, it will dry completely clear. You won't even know it's there. So these are all British seasonal flowers, lots of violas in here. I just wanted it to feel very harmonious with everything that we're creating. It's really handy to use tweezers because these are very, very delicate. I'm going to go for a really large stem because the goose egg is so big, and I'm just going to go for it and pop it on. So I've got my tweezers there, and I've also got a cocktail stick. This is a long one, but short ones are fine. And it's just really handy to press down your flower with. It just acts as a really nice little tool just to press those flowers. Now, again, you can see the glue's going on there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there's a little bit of crinkling. You really won't be able to notice it. Then I'm going to get another one, and I quite like overlapping. So if you're going to overlap, you want to make sure that you've put some glue exactly at the point where you're going to overlap. Now, again, the petal is very, very delicate, so you can't really be too heavy-handed when you're putting that glue on top of your petal. So then I'm going to get my other one, and then because I've got those tweezers, I can put it exactly where it needs to go. Pat that down, and if some of it folds, it really doesn't matter. And then you get your stick and just gently pat it down. And I just think there's something really nice about having it overlapping. But really, it's up to you. Now, I'm going to keep this all flowers, but you could, you know, let's not forget about the foliage. You could put some foliage on there. You could do it all foliage. You could just use leaves. As soon as you add something, it really does change the design. I'm going to go in and just add another flower, maybe there. So because I'm going to overlap that, I'm going to go back. Just get a bit more glue. And I tend to do little dabs rather than draw it out. If you do that, you might actually tear the pressed flowers. Pop it on. Pat it down. And then we need to put a whole layer of the PVA glue over the top. So this is going to seal it, and it's going to make sure that nothing moves. And what I do is start in the center and then work my way out. And you can see I'm not doing one whole sweep. That is because if I do that, it may actually lift off the pressed flower. So I'm doing like little motions, little dabs. And as you can see, that's a really thick layer, but that's exactly what we want. So we can just continue working from the center towards the outside, being really gentle. And then I'm being super careful where I've overlapped the flowers because you don't want either one to rise up. So you might have to change the direction. I'm still following the direction from the center of the flower outward. I'm just tidying up the edges here. So you can see I've got a lovely thick layer of glue there. So the final thing is you just need to wait. So for how long? I mean, it could take, depends how hot the day is, could take a couple of hours, 4 hours. I just like to leave them overnight. And then I'm really secure in the thought that it's completely dry. So I've got some I've already prepared. Made these yesterday. So you can see the difference between the ones that have the pressed flowers and how different stems look using this process. But I just think everything looks so beautiful and harmonious because I have chosen spring flowers that are in season now. And also with your glue, you can add little touches like the bow, which I think are just really cute. And I've kind of coordinated the colours as well. And I've popped them on a bed of moss just to really make sure that it looks completely like a perfect spring design. So you've got your pressed flowers. So another way of using them up is to make yourself your own pressed flower bookmark. So first of all, I've got different papers here. Now it's really up to you what you want to use. I feel that white just makes the colours pop out a little bit more, but you might want to use craft paper or craft card. You want like a 300 milligram weight, something that is quite sturdy. Or I've got like handmade paper here with this raw edge, which I really love. It just feels very artisan and natural. So I think this is the one that I'm going to use today. I've got an A5 sheet here and I'm going to use the entire length. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in 3 to get my width. But again, this is very much up to you how wide you want it. So I'm not going to use the guillotine because that would actually get rid of that lovely raw edge. So I'm just going to get my ruler, find the fold, press down, and then cut it that way. So you can see that I'm still maintaining that lovely kind of homemade look with the edge there. So I've got my bookmark here. So that's perfect size. And what I do like to do is actually, because it is quite flimsy, is to just back it onto a bit tougher card. I just get my piece I've already cut, get a pencil, and just do a line down. So this is going to be your guide for cutting. Get your guillotine, or if you have just got scissors, that's absolutely fine. So you can see where I've done my line. And then I'm not actually going to cut it on the line. I don't want this card to overlap the edge of the handmade paper. So I'm just going to cut it a little bit less than the line so I know that it's not going to overlap. One straight go there. And I'm going to do the same for the length. Because what I don't want is you seeing like bits of card at the top. So it's just a tiny amount, maybe like 2 or 3 millimeters. Take off the edge. And then you want to glue that on top of each other. So I go back, I've still got my PVA glue here. So you don't need a lot. I kind of go around the edges, just around the border. Get your paper and then stick it on top. So you can see that that now actually looks like it's all made out of the handmade paper, but we've got a nice, really firm backing. So the first thing you want to do is with this design, there's a little bit more creativity. There's a little bit more space. So I would suggest for this design to actually lay out all your flowers first. So obviously that's too big. Is once you've kind of got your design, it's easy to kind of play around, obviously before there's any glue on there. And then what you can do is take a picture and then you can refer to it because we're going to put on another layer of glue and then replicate the design. And I'm going to do a kind of ombre. So we're going tonally with maybe viola at the bottom. So now I've got a rough plan of what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get a piece of card and then gently lift those off, put them to one side. And then I've got my card and we're going to do another layer of the PVA on top. So we're safe in the knowledge now that we know this dries. But because I kind of have mapped out the design already, I'm not going to cover it all. I'm just going to cover where I know that I'm going to put the stems. But if you find it easier to just cover the whole thing, because it doesn't really matter, it's all going to dry. So once I've done that, I'm going to start putting my petals on, putting my flower heads on. So I'm going to put one on that's overlapping, so I'm going to put on a little bit of glue very gently This is a moment where you could easily tear. Pop it on. And then I've got my cocktail stick again, just to tap that down. Oh, there we go. You can see how delicate it is, but I can just nudge it into place. That's the thing about the glue. If something does come apart, you can literally just move it, manipulate it with the stick. So do not fear. And plus it's all nature, it's all natural, so it doesn't matter if some bits come off. And obviously you don't want the pressed flowers to go outside of the paper. I am just going to add a few more things in. Do something else. You might feel very confident, and that's fine. So that's the basis of my design there. So now we need to put a really lovely thick layer of the glue all over the top of those flowers, starting in the middle and working my way out. So I'm always going in one direction, although I'm doing little strokes. And just be mindful, you might want to do this on a cutting mat, or we've got some paper here, just because it can get a bit messy, because you do want to go right up to the edges. So as before, like with the eggs, we're going to leave this overnight. As I said, if it's a warm day, it might take 3 to 4 hours, but I always just like to have complete safety and leave it overnight. And I know that that's going to be all really clear and dry. And the same as before, I've got some I've already made. So these are the ones that I made the other day. And as you can see, that glue has completely dried to be 100% transparent. So we really don't need to worry about how much you're putting on. I've also made a final flourish of adding a ribbon at the top, which I also think is just so nice when you have a bookmark. So what I did to achieve that is you just need a hole punch, get your card. So you just put it in there, gives you a hole, and you just want to get some ribbon, and then you fold it in half like that. And then you put the end through the hole, and then you loop the other end through that loop and then pull it tight. Now that's quite long, so you can obviously cut it to whatever length you'd like. But I just think that's a really lovely way to kind of add an extra design touch to your bookmark. And it's very handy as well. So as you can see, I've put an added ribbon here, 3 different colours. And on this one, I've just added a little bow. And both are just really beautiful and just sing spring. So this is a perfect time of year for bulbs. Bulbs such as lily of the valley or snowdrops or muscari. It's lovely to see that first jolt of colour at this time of year, and it's wonderful, even better, to bring them inside. So what I'm going to do today is to show you how to make a really decorative bowl using lily of the valley, and the fragrance of these is so beautiful. So I've taken these out of the garden. And then what I want to do is I've got a really deep bowl here. So it's a decorative bowl. So something that looks really beautiful. So terracotta works really well, but just obviously this is for display. So we're having a little bit more thought about what we're using as our vessel. And I've just got some standard compost here, some organic compost. So essentially we're replanting these, but inside. So I'm going to put my first one in. I'm always looking at, if I've got 2 here, I don't want to have a lot of dead space anywhere. So some you might find when you're using potted plants that they kind of sway towards a certain area of the plant pot. You can see here, there's more groupings towards my left. So I'm going to put that towards the outside. And then here, kind of similarly, there's more on the right. So I'm going to put the gap in the middle. So there's just something going on at every direction of the pot, and they're quite malleable, so you might have to squish them down depending on your vessel. You do want quite a deep bowl because they do have a large root system. And then all I'm going to do is, once I've got them in position, is fill around it. So then I'm going to fill in here with the compost. It is quite messy, so maybe do this on a potting bench or outside, or just put down some newspaper. And to make this even more decorative and to kind of cover that bare soil, it's fine in the garden, but I don't know, I find that I do quite like covering it if I'm bringing things indoors. So I've just got some moss here, And we're going to use this just to cover that soil. And moss is fantastic. It's already got all these little pieces of branch. You might find catkins in here, which I love. It just looks really natural. And that's what we're going for. So I add all those in. I'd never take those out. And it's quite nice to have things overlapping the bowl, just as it would in nature. This isn't about something that's really precise. So you can literally pull the moss apart and then you can pop it in. And then we've got a gorgeous display. And then just to add some more nature into it, I've just got little branches and I just think they look really pretty, just popped in. It just adds another layer to it and it does look so spring. Something like this would be perfect for Easter or just lovely to bring indoors when, you know, we're really craving the sunshine. And so you just want to put those into the soil. It's up to you how many you want to use. And then that is it. A really beautiful way to bring flowers indoors this time of year.